Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today we're going to be looking at my most anticipated Nintendo Switch games for 2023. Now in total honesty, this list could have been easily over 30 games long, because there are a ton of great games announced for this year. However, rather than just going over all the great games that are coming out, I wanted to really focus in on those few games that have me really excited. So if I don't mention games on today's list like Fire Emblem Engage or Octopath Traveler 2, it's not that I don't think they're going to be great games, it's just that they're not games that necessarily are on the top of my most anticipated list. It really has to be a game that I'm so excited to play that no matter what else is happening around the channel, I will drop everything, pick up the game, and play it as soon as I can. Now just before we get started, I do want to give a quick shout out to mapleshop.gg, the affiliate website for the channel where you can pick up eSHOP gift cards or Xbox gift cards, and on top of it, right now you can get 5% off of your purchases using code JAN5, so JAN5. Next time you're looking to make a purchase, why not help out the channel a little bit and on top of it, save some extra money. Now let's jump into our list of games for today, and remember, if you are liking the content, hit that like button. Now first on my list for today, I'm going to do the opposite of usual. I'm going to come out with the biggest game coming out this year, just because it's probably a game that's going to be on everyone's most anticipated list. And I think it's no surprise it is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now calling this game a highly anticipated game actually feels like an understatement, because I can't think of a more anticipated game than this over the last 5 years. I mean, first of all, it is a follow-up to one of the most revolutionary Zelda games, Breath of the Wild, promising an even bigger open world than that game. Secondly, it is supposed to actually tie together the events from that first game and also the events from Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And lastly, what I think added the most to the anticipation here is the fact that it has received multiple delays, and a lot of people are feeling like they should already be playing this game. But I, for one, am glad that if the game was not ready yet, that they did delay it. If they were not prepared to fill the immense shoes left behind by Breath of the Wild, they really needed to take the time, perfect this game, and blow us away when it releases. The problem, however, with so much anticipation is that it's led to quite a huge expectation from this game, but I for one believe they can deliver. And hopefully, if all goes well, on May 12th of this year, we will finally get to play it. Now since we're on the subject of first-party games, let's get the other one out of the way right away and look at Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Now, I know we've received a lot of Kirby games over the last little bit of time. However, this is one that has me very interested because although I enjoyed a ton the 3D Kirby game that we got last year, I am really a huge fan of 2D platformers, and a new 2D Kirby game for me is one that I'm super excited for. I can already hear the comments. A lot of people are going to say, but this isn't a brand new game. It is a remake of the game from the Wii. The thing is that I missed out on it on the Wii, because during the Wii U era, I wasn't really gaming on Nintendo because they were trying to force motion controls down my throat, and I'm not a huge fan. And that's actually something I really love about my Switch, is that yes, they still integrate motion controls into the games, however, they always give you the option of reverting to a more traditional control format, at least for most of the games. But from everything I see from the reviews of the original game on the Wii, this was a very well-received 2D Kirby game, which is why, as I said earlier, my anticipation for it is so high. Now the best bit of news for this one, however, is that we don't have much longer to wait, because if all goes well, it should be releasing on February 24th of this year. So in just over a month and a half, I should finally get a chance to play this game. Now there's actually another game coming out in February that I'm also very excited for, and it's a game I find is getting very little attention, and that is Figment 2 Creed Valley. Now if you haven't heard about this game before, it is the follow-up to a game that we already have on the Switch called Figment, a top-down action-adventure Zelda-like indie game. And if you follow my eShop Deals series, it's also a game that has on multiple occasions been a pick of the week, especially when it hit its new lowest ever price of only $1.99, which is a crazy price for a game that was already worth its full $20 that it's being sold for at full price. Now, one of the reasons why maybe this game has lost some attention is that it also has been delayed on a couple of occasions, and they haven't yet committed to a solid date in February, rather just a mention that it's supposed to be releasing in February. Now, hopefully it can live up to the standards set by its predecessor, which really offered an amazing art style backed up with one of the best indie soundtracks in any game on the Nintendo Switch. The first one also had a very interesting setup, having you poke through the psyche of an individual and see what makes up their personality. And so far, at least from everything we've seen in the trailer, it really looks like it's going down the same path as the first game. Now, our next game for today is actually one that you could already be playing, however, on a different console, and that is Marvel Midnight Suns. Now, if you don't already know this about me, on top of being a huge gamer, I'm also a huge comic book fan. You can probably tell by the Avengers poster right behind me. And when I heard that they were coming with a strategy turn-based game using characters from the Marvel property, I was super excited. And what excited me even more originally is that the Switch release was supposed to release at the same time as the releases on the PlayStation and the Xbox. However, as we all know, the Switch definitely doesn't have the same power level as those other two consoles, and they really needed some extra time to finalize the Switch edition, which is why, unfortunately, it was announced that it was going to be delayed till 2023. Now, I've been fighting back the urge to buy it for my Xbox, but at this point, I'm ready to wait for it and finally play it for the first time ever on the Nintendo Switch. The good news, however, is as long as they port the game in a decent fashion, we already know that the gameplay itself is actually pretty good, with the game already receiving really good scores on the other two consoles. And I was super happy to see that, because one of the parts of the gameplay that had me questioning a little bit whether it was going to work out is the fact that you are also working on a card deck building mechanics within the gameplay. But apparently it works in very well, and it offers a great gameplay experience with an ever-expanding roster of new characters. Now, I guarantee you, when this one finally hits the Nintendo Switch, I'll be picking it up day one. Unfortunately, we don't have a solid date as of yet. Now, the next game making this list of highly anticipated games is actually going to be another indie title, and that is Have a Nice Death. Now, this game is a 2D hack and slash roguelite. And once again, I can hear the comments, we've gotten so many roguelites over the last few years. How can you be super excited for another indie roguelite? But I've got to tell you, this one looks like it's going to be offering something special. And I think that one of the things that has attracted me most to this game is it seems to be pulling elements from some of my favorite games that we already have on the Nintendo Switch. Number one, it has fast-paced and frantic gameplay that seems to be combining elements of games like Dead Cell with Skull the Hero Slayer. And after that, it seems to be using a beautiful art style that reminds me in some instances of Hollow Knight, other instances of Ori and the Blind Forest. And if there's one thing that all those games have in common that I've mentioned so far, is they are all amazing games that I love a lot. Not only that, but this is another one of those games that we can sort of cheat on a little bit because you can already pick it up on Steam, and over there it's been extremely well received. So once again, in this case, if the port to the Switch is well done, we're probably going to have another amazing game on our hands. Now, the last bit of good news for this one is we most likely won't have to wait much longer because it's currently slated for March 22nd of this year. Now, our next game for today is actually being developed by one of my favorite indie developers on the Nintendo Switch, Yacht Club Games, and that is Mina The Hollower, that is fully kickstarted and currently announced for 2023. Now, this game is another top-down action-adventure game, however, it's being done with a Game Boy-like aesthetic. Now, from everything I've seen about this game, once again, think slightly of a top-down Zelda-like, however, much more difficult. However, yet again, if you're wondering why this is one of my most anticipated games of 2023, if you follow the channel, you know that number one, I'm a sucker for a game done with a Game Boy-like aesthetic. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier, Yacht Club Games is one of my favorite developers, and they have yet to put out a game that I haven't enjoyed quite a bit. And lastly, I can almost guarantee you this is a game I'm going to enjoy since I've played the Kickstarter demo. And as I said earlier, it is so far really living up to my expectations. Now, obviously, we still have to reserve final judgment till the full game is out and we can see just how much gameplay we'll be getting from it and also how much originality we'll be able to experience from the later levels. However, if they stay on the same track as what I've played so far, if you're into this retro style of game, this is definitely one to keep an eye out for, and I can't wait till we get a solid date in 2023. Now, next on my list of games that I really can't wait to play for this year, we have Sea of Stars. Now, we actually saw our first glimpses of this game in one of the recent indie directs, and oh my god, I was blown away by the visuals. And then on top of it, I found out that it was going to be an old school turn-based RPG, and I was just even more excited at that point. I mean, I love the action RPGs, I love those gameplay styles, but I've been really in the mood lately to play another really great turn-based one. Now add to that the fact that the game is being developed by Sabotage Studio, which if you didn't know is the same studio that made The Messenger, one of the best retro-style 2D action platformers we currently have on the Nintendo Switch. Well, at that point I was just overwhelmed with anticipation for this game, and if they put in just half of the love and care that they did into The Messenger, we're going to have a heck of a game on our hands. Unfortunately, the only thing to slightly dull the anticipation for this game, however, is we still don't have any idea of a solid release date for it. So we don't know if this game is coming soon or more towards the end of the year. However, if I had to guess, I would unfortunately say it's most likely the latter. But nonetheless, whenever this game ends up releasing, I will definitely be once again playing it day one. Now, our before last game on this list for today is going to be Metal Slug Tactics. Now, once again, we're looking at a game that was announced in an indie direct actually quite a while ago and has received a couple of delays so far. But if this is your first time seeing this game, it is basically a tactical turn-based RPG that is using the Metal Slug franchise as its base. Now, traditionally, the Metal Slug series is mostly known for 2D run-and-gun gameplay. So when I found out that they were reinventing it as a turn-based strategy RPG series, I was very intrigued. But at the same time, the more I thought about it, the more it made perfect sense, especially with the integration of vehicles and all the different great characters that they could pull from. Then the more I looked into it, the more interested I got, because on top of it, they're going to be combining it with roguelike elements, making an extreme level of replayability. And then add to that the fact that although they're not developing it, .emu is publishing this game, and they already have some great retro franchises under their belt, just like TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Well, I was convinced that this will most likely be a great experience. Now, once again, in this case, only time will tell, and unfortunately, for the moment, we still don't have a solid release date for 2023, but I'm keeping my eyes wide open for this one. But now, our last game for today, definitely not the least, however, is going to be Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, if Tears of the Kingdom is one of the most highly anticipated games ever on the first party side, well, I would say that its equivalent on the indie side has definitely got to be this game right here, Hollow Knight Silksong. It is a follow-up to a Metroidvania that took the indie community by storm, still offering today one of the most beautiful yet brutally challenging experiences on the console. And same thing as in the case of the Zelda game, I think that one of the things that has contributed most to the anticipation behind this game is the fact that it seems like it should already be out. And every time we get little tidbits of information, and every time we get a little bit of hope that the game might actually finally come out, it seems like the project is met with delays, or they just aren't yet ready to commit to a specific release date. But then again, I can perfectly understand their hesitation because they once again have some huge shoes to fill if they want to really deliver an experience that's going to meet the expectations, especially based on the brilliance of the first game. And it's actually pretty funny because this game was actually on my list of top anticipated games in 2022, and here we are again putting it on our list in 2023. But I'm very hopeful once again that it will release this year, but you know what? No matter what, the most important thing whenever it does actually release is that it delivers on an amazing experience. So that was it for my list of most anticipated games for 2023. But as I said, this list could have easily been 3 times as long, and I really want to hear from all of you. Let me know in the comments down below what games you are most excited about for the coming year. And don't forget, on the way out, if you did like the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and click on that notification bell so you know when all my future videos come out. And as usual, I hope I'll see you in my next video.